In this short video recording, we're going to begin talking about the differences between diabetes insipidus, DI, and syndrome of inappropriate antidiuretic hormone, or SIADH. In order to understand both of these disorders, you need to understand that they are both disorders that have to do with the antidiuretic hormone. It's important to know that these are also the two most common disorders of antidiuretic hormone, or ADH. Before we begin our classroom discussion, let's review the pathophysiology of the antidiuretic hormone. As you can see on this slide, I have a slice of the brain here. I went ahead and I labeled two key parts. The hypothalamus is in green, and the pituitary gland is that tan, pea-sized part that hangs off the bottom there. ADH is produced in the hypothalamus and sent down and stored in the pituitary gland. From there, as it is needed, the pituitary gland actually secretes the hormone. So it doesn't make it, it secretes it. Let's talk a little bit more about the pituitary gland. The pituitary gland is composed of two lobes with distinct functions. The anterior lobe, meaning towards the front, secretes hormones controlled by hormones secreted by the hypothalamus. In other words, hormones are actually produced and secreted in the anterior lobe in response to hormones secreted by the hypothalamus. Moving forward, in the posterior lobe, only two hormones are synthesized in the hypothalamus, but stored and released from the posterior lobe. They're not being made here, remember, just stored and secreted. The two hormones released by the posterior pituitary gland are the antidiuretic hormone, ADH, and oxytocin. Oxytocin may seem familiar to you from NUR 201. Oxytocin plays a major role in the release of breast milk, cervical changes, and uterine contractions during labor and delivery. For the purposes of testing and classroom discussions, we're going to concentrate on the antidiuretic hormone only. The antidiuretic hormone controls water retention by the kidneys. When there's a lack of ADH, the collecting ducts in the kidneys are less permeable to water, and large volumes of urine are produced. So if the kidneys can't collect it, it has to go somewhere, and so you see it going out in the form of urine. When there's too much ADH, the collecting ducts of the kidneys are more permeable, causing the kidneys to reabsorb water. So rather than urinating the fluid out, fluid volume is retained, causing a fluid overload. We'll talk more about the disorders of the posterior pituitary gland, diabetes insipidus, and syndrome of inappropriate antidiuretic hormone in class. Thank you for taking the time to review this video, and I look forward to our classroom discussion.